Welcome to Pink Kink,
where we talk about the pretty, twisted side of kink.
I'm Princess Rara.
And I'm Dara, the Electro Khaleesi.
Whether you are a new kinkster or have years of experience, Pink Kink will help you level up your kink knowledge.
Join us on this journey as we talk about our personal experiences and use the knowledge we've gained over 28 years of being involved in both private and professional aspects of this lifestyle to help you explore every facet of kink.
Get set for an adventure. Not only will you learn and grow, but we promise loads of laughter, turning each episode into a fun party. So fasten your seatbelt and let's get this show started. Pink Kink runs off the generosity of our devoted patrons.
As a patron, you will become a member of our special Discord server, receive some adorable Pink Kink stickers, as well as have access to a monthly behind-the-scenes podcast. Patrons also get discounts at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique, and our online classes at Pink Kink Institute.
In addition, our impactful and electrifying Pink Kinksters get special audio and video episodes. And finally, patrons at our highest tier will be recognized as producers, both here on the podcast and on our website.
If you would like to become a patron, you can visit us at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast or click the link at pinkkinkpodcast.com.
Today's episode is produced by our electrifying Pink Kinksters. Thank you, Jay, Witcherman, Brianna Lynn, Daddy J, Fabe, Embers, Blossom, William P, Claire, Lady Blooding, Naughty and Nice, Butte Pain, Manda Panda, Kat, Stefan, Shadow Phoenix, Kilted Sir, Brian, May Cry Devil, Ruby Riot, Mistress Velma, Enchanted Sparrow, The Wombat, Impact Hazard, Twitch, The Midnight Girl, Sinful, J21, Daisy If You Do, AK Harley Chick, Violet Rain, Serenity, Belle, Eric, Lady Affliction,
Dr. Dave, Pumpkin Pie, Ms. Tourmaline, S'more, Hacksaw, Wee Mad Beastie, To Be Better For Me, 3 a.m. Thoughts, Forrest, BP Bryn, Crash Override, Iro, Kinky Bear, Sviper No Swiping, Barbie, Navigator Bard, Frost, Sinful and Naughty, Coffee and Chaos, Noir, Haley's Comment, Mr. Pillsbury, Stitch, Peaches, Mighty Owl, Princess Sassy Pants, Lady and Lex, Chaos Monster, Casper, Hazel Page, Jessa Lady, DJ Harlow, Ophelia, Master A, and Drew. Hey, Rara.
Yes.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Only a bone? Okay.
One bone.
One bone.
It's a big one.
Is it the funny bone?
No. Quite serious. Look at my face. Do you see the serious face?
I see your serious face.
Mm-hmm.
It's not making me feel serious. Go ahead.
Okay. I heard from my husband that you were booby bouncing him last night.
Yeah, I kept hitting him with my nipple on his arm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm standing close, and my boobs were out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. No, they were out. You got to, oh my God, you got to tell people that story. But anyway, I'm mad at you.
Yeah?
You didn't ask my permission if you could smush your boobs up against my husband all night?
I thought I had blanket permission for boob smushing. I accept that if I put his dick in my mouth, I need permission. If I put his dick in my pussy, I need permission.
At this point.
But I figured the boob smashing, I was good.
He was so telling me about that on the ride home last night. And I was like, oh, really? I'm going to have to talk to Rara about that.
Okay, well, I think we need to sort of rewind a little bit. I've got good news and bad news.
Uh-huh.
We were at the dungeon last night, so we have hangover.
Oh, big time hangover.
So that's the good news and the bad news. It just depends on how you look at it.
I mean,
people seem to like it when we're that exhausted from dungeon hangover.
I mean, I've got a fucking headache that feels like I have an actual hangover.
So I decided last night, I didn't know what I wanted to wear, but it's summer, it's hot, and I'm fucking tired of doing laundry. So I wore a skirt with no top. I had pasties on.
She wore a big fat nothing.
I had pasties on.
Okay, so explain what you came up to me and told me last night.
Have to narrow that down.
Okay. About people's reactions.
Oh, that one, yes. All right, so for last night, I was working the event as one of the hosts. And again, that's where I stand up at the front, and anybody who's new to the event, I stop them and I go over all the rules with them. And it was very cute and sweet. So there I am, as we've well established, well endowed, with my boobs just hanging out, not any shirt. And people were trying to be so kind and sweet and respectful and not stare at them. And I'm watching them almost get whiplash with their eyes as their eyes keep going back and forth between my boobs and my face and my boobs and my face. Because like my boobs are just there. I don't know how you don't look at them, but they're trying to be respectful.
Like big boobs and I cannot lie.
And it was really cute. So if you were there last night, you were one of those people and you're listening, I saw what you tried to do. You have my respect. It was absolutely sweet and totally unnecessary. I mean, the other funny thing is so our friend Vixen's also one of the other hosts. And she was complaining about one couple in particular who really didn't want to have to stop and listen to the speech. They wanted to hurry up and get out into the dungeon area and wanted to have her speed up. And she's like, yeah, it was really hard. They really weren't listening. They wanted me to rush through. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't have that problem tonight. Everybody was happy to just stand there however long it took me to give the speech.
Okay, but were they listening to you?
That I can't tell you.
She is having trouble getting them to listen. I'm not sure you really didn't have that problem either.
But it was very sweet. I met somebody who's a dungeon monitor from Portland, Oregon.
Ooh.
So I said to him, one of the first things we do is we go over, obviously, the rules of consent. And to make sure people understand, we don't tell them what consent is. We ask them to tell us what consent is.
Okay.
To make sure they have it understanding. And so I said to this guy, I said, oh, so you're a dungeon monitor. I said, then this should be an easy question for you. What is consent? I will tell you, this guy gave the best answer, the most detailed, lengthy answer of what consent is that I've ever had anybody give me in all the times I've been doing this. And I'm like,
do you remember it?
I couldn't regurgitate it back to you, but I was so impressed. I said to him, that, my friend, is an A+ answer.
You get a gold star.
Yeah. I watched somebody try to go fries. And they knew fries, but then they were trying to remember what fries each letter stood for.
Oh, well, that's not helpful.
So, but I'm like, but hey, you get a point for knowing the acronym fries exists.
Yes.
Because you get some interesting answers when you ask people to define consent to you. It's not as easy as you would think to define it.
Ask first, do later.
So it's a whole thing that we go through. And
I'm simple.
We try to, there's certain points, like if they don't talk about the fact that it's got to be verbal.
Okay.
Because we really want to make sure, at least in the dungeon setting, that it can't just be, nodding your head yes. It has to be an actual spoken word of yes. So like we'll throw in little things. If they miss, we'll throw those in before we continue.
I got a little snippy with someone last night, and I actually feel really, really bad about it. But so the person on my table and I were actually just discussing another guy who had come up and asked permission to look at my stuff. And I said, yeah, he says, well, I do electro too. It's like, oh, feel free to pick up stuff because you know what you're doing. And like, they won't break shit. And he asked, and I was like, yeah, cool, go for it. Talking to the person on my table, and she goes, wait, somebody read the sign and asked? He pointed to it and he goes, yeah, it's right there. Don't touch it, you'll get zapped. Yes, cool. So then, I don't know, not 5 minutes later, this person was still on my table, and this girl and her partner, I guess, comes up and they start picking up stuff off my table. And I went, there is literally a sign right there that says don't touch. And she dropped it like it was on fire and goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't see the sign. I'm like, yeah, but also rule of the dungeon, don't touch other people's stuff.
That's actually, we've added that because of all the problems you and I both had in the past. We used to say, now that you know what consent is, you won't touch other people. Now we say, now that you know what consent is, you won't touch other people or their toys.
Right. And like, people have come up to me at Risque while I'm demoing and asked me how much stuff is because they think I'm selling it. And they'll pick it up and pretend like they're going to try it out. Like, put my stuff the fuck back down. But this one, she was so embarrassed. I could see her turning red. They like ran away and they never came back to my table. I was a little more snippy than I think I needed to be. But I was like, holy shit, I go from one extreme to the other in like 5 minutes.
Well, I start off the evening very polite and nice. By about the 10th person who's doing it, I'm probably going to be a little snippy.
She was the only one that did it.
Well, there you go. Then I call that a win for the night.
I was I think I may have gone a little too snippy. But, hey, she won't touch anybody's stuff ever again. Because she'll remember that for the rest of her life.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, at least I helped somebody in the future, right?
But it was a really good night. We were celebrating Pride.
Yep.
Which is always a great excuse to celebrate and party.
Loved my goddamn outfit. I was like so excited about it.
Well, do you want to explain to the fine folks what your outfit was?
I was wearing a pink and purple and blue tutu with blue mesh tights, and a blue mesh tank top because it was fucking hot, and a pink, purple, and blue unicorn horn headband. And I had pink, purple, and blue eye makeup like all down my face. By the end of the night, it was like down to my chin and smeared to fuck. So
you still
it was
have
whatever.
Glitter on your face.
I have glitter on my boobs.
You have glitter on your face.
I have glitter
I'm staring
in my
at you and
hair.
you're shining.
I have glitter in my hair. It is everywhere because I basically took a blush brush, dipped it into my glitter, and went like everywhere. Yep, I did that. Sound effects included. And it's everywhere. It's on the dogs. It's on my husband. It's on the bed. It's everywhere. And I was a bisexual unicorn.
It was fabulous.
I had way too much fun putting that together.
It was a really good night. I got to bottom twice last night.
God.
Which was, I haven't bottomed in fucking forever.
How's your boobs?
So, I look like a pincushion.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Learning Curve, my fabulous needle top, and I just said, I just need pain. Like, I don't care what you do. I don't need necessarily pretty pictures. I need pain. And they were so excited because apparently most of their night was newbies.
Yes,
they popped
mine
a
too.
huge amount of needle cherries that night, which meant they were putting in like 4 needles. And that was it. And the person was like, oh, that's it. And I'm like, I didn't even pay attention. I don't know what size they were putting in. I didn't know what the plan was. I just closed my eyes and enjoyed. And they just kept going. And with me, when there's no design involved and it's just a matter of getting the needles in, it is like a fucking assembly line. It's like boom, 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 boom. They go in so fast. Then they took, it's not really string. It's more like elasticity material.
Okay.
And wrapped it around the needles and then would pull. Oh,
the 2 different reactions to that.
It was so good. So I did that, and then I was like and we were starting to talk about like different places we could do scenes where the rules were not as strict. I was talking about, and you may need to cover your ears for this one or turn off your volume, whatever. I'm like, I really need to bleed more. I just want a scene where I could like just bleed and it's not an issue.
So invite them to your next blood play party.
I actually invited them to the last one. They just couldn't make it. And the next one I definitely will also invite them.
You're making my headache worse.
So Learning Curve's giving me ideas. They're like, well, you need to drink a lot of water. I said, well, I've already had like 96 ounces of water today by the time I got to do the knee top. So I said, this should be good. And it did. I got to bleed a lot. So that was fabulous. And then I got to do a bottoming impact scene with Uncle Eric, who I have admired his work. That man can Florentine flog like nobody's business. It's beautiful. And he also does single tail. So I'm like, that's what I want to do. But I have to admit, I was very nervous. Not because I didn't trust his skill set, but because it's been so long since I've bottomed for impact. I was really worried like what my pain tolerance could be.
Right. Because you haven't been able to work it up. It's like,
well, it's like a muscle. It really is. I mean, when I used to do that all the time, bottoming for impact, I really had built it up. But it's been so long, I feel like I've started over. So I was a little nervous. And so I'm like, we'll do medium. Then so as it's happening and it's different at several points, I'm like, you know what? This really fucking hurts. What should I do about that? What do I do about the fact that it really should I? And I'm having this whole fucking dialogue in my head. This is hysterical. Should I be like yellowing right now and telling him that this is too much? Can I handle this? All right, let me do my breathing exercises. Maybe my breathing exercises.
What, like Lamaze?
Yes, actually.
Oh my God.
Exactly what I do. In for 4 and exhale to either 6 or 8 count. Well, not like that. You have to go in through the nose to a 4 count. It's always got to be in through the nose for a 4 count, and then exhale through the mouth for a count of at least 6, because it's got to be more than the 4. But I can usually do it 4 and 8 for me is what works. So I was doing that as and having this whole conversation. Should I be yelling? I mean, this is a lot of pain. This really fucking hurts. What should I do here? And it ended up, I never yellowed because as I'm having all this conversation in my head, time is going by. So next thing I know, my time slot's over. So we stopped.
Oh, that works. Oh,
But
Lord.
I felt so much better because he said to me, he goes, for somebody who hasn't bottomed in a while, he goes, you're still a kick-ass bottom. And I went, oh, good, I haven't lost it.
Did you do the wiggles and like the reaction that you normally do in the processing time?
No, I never really had time to do that. Because it was just like constant, because it was a lot of it. I mean, it was first he started with deer flogger, Florentine deer flogging. I could have just fallen, if I was on laying down, I would have fallen asleep. It was so massaging. It was fabulous. And then, of course, the things get progressively harder. But then I'm laughing because, again, difference between you. So he would Florentine flog, and then he would take the flogger and just kind of like drag it across my back for sensation. I'm like, I don't like this. It tickles. Can we go back to hitting me, please?
So I think I've decided at this point that for our birthday party,
Yeah.
I'm not going to work that night.
Okay.
I don't care who does it. I actually asked Cards last night if he would do it. And he was like, okay, but I have to do other stuff too. So I think we might have like a rotation of electro tops that night, which I think would actually be really cool. But we have to, like, there's so many things that I want to do. I don't think I'm going to be able to work that night. Because now I want to do a punching scene. Right. I figured you'd like that.
Can I punch you for your, like, the quote unquote birthday spanks?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you don't like punch, like, because, you know, I don't want to bruise that much, but like a boxing match, I think a boxing match on my ass between you and Noir would be hilarious.
I have boxing gloves.
I know.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Okay.
So we'll negotiate that. So but we have to do electro races. I have to get punched, and I have to do. Sofina reminded me last night that I still haven't done my humiliation affirmation scene.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very busy on my birthday. Too busy to work.
I still haven't decided what I'm doing. But
Well,
I was very happy with what I was able to do last night. That felt really good, and my boobs are a nice soreness.
Mm-hmm.
My ass and back are fine now, like whatever last night. But that's also the difference between thuddy and stingy.
And by the way, we need pink sashes this year. That's a birthday princess or something.
All right, we can make that
Or birthday girl or whatever the
We
fuck
can
it
make that
happens.
happen.
But I want full out sash. Okay, so my night. Are you done with yours?
Yes.
Was that it? Was there more?
It works. Go ahead.
Okay. So my night, I have a few standouts. One of them, I had a lot of newbies and like a lot of my regulars, but they didn't want like anything hard. They just wanted soft and kind of sensual last night. And I was like,
I don't understand that.
I was kind of bored actually for some of it. I was like, all right, cool. But I did get to test out new implements.
Yes.
Which one of them is going straight to you.
Yes.
Because
I can't wait. A chain flogger, and I am so excited.
Well, like, okay, two reasons it wasn't working for me. One, it has, the finger holds.
I'm not a big fan of the finger hold.
Okay, so I tried it with that, and of course, it wasn't connecting. Like, there was no conductiveness to it. So I held it by the chain part, and still, when you dance it across somebody, yes, it did a little bit, but there's no point in having a chain flogger if you're just going to dance it, right? I was like, all right, give it to you. The silicone flogger, however, hitting and dancing it across the skin worked beautifully. Thank you, Bobby, for helping me test out all the new toys. And got some good feedback for that. I had a new knife. It's a 3D printed knife. So that one worked out really well, especially when I did it at the same time as my old carbon fiber knife.
Mm-hmm.
And people got to see the difference.
Ooh.
So that was kind of fun to do.
I never thought, so you can make the 3D printing in conductive stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how that whole 3D printing works thing.
I don't either.
To me, it's one of those things, I don't know how it works. I just accept it does.
You just need, the filament has to be conductive.
Yeah, see, even filament makes no sense to me. And it's okay.
The word filament?
The whole concept science.
Oh,
I don't understand it.
Okay.
So it's just like you type something in a computer and then the little thing goes zig, 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 and something magically appears.
Well,
and I'm
that's
okay
not
with
entirely
that.
how it works.
It does in my head, and we're leaving it that way.
Okay.
I don't need it explained further.
Okay.
I'm good.
It's technically a 3D model that you've loaded into a specific program that goes directly. Okay, never mind. I'm not. Forget it. It's all good. So yeah, anyway, I had a bunch of newbies, some people that I haven't seen in a while. Ash was there last night. I haven't seen her in months. So she was like super, hey, let's do this. Let's go to town. And I got to light her up. So that was fun. I had another newbie who kept saying to me, and I quote, "You're making me feel things I've never felt before."
Ooh.
I was like, oh, yes. And
That's good, right?
Yes.
No, that's not always good. I was just checking.
No, he was squirmy and squealy and he was hot. Let's just put it this way. It's very hot. And I was like, yes, let's do this. Keep wiggling for me. Shake that ass. And when he said that, I was like, oh, really? He goes, yeah, it's weird. I'm like kind of horny, but also like it's painful at the same time, but I'm still horny. I was like, haha, good. And then our friend Serenity comes up and is like trying to talk to me or trying to talk to the bottom. And I was like, excuse me, do you not see the super hot man on my table that I am trying to flirt my brains out with right now? Please stop talking to me. And she's like, oh, wow, he is super hot. Can I touch too? I was like, ask him. And she got to play with my super hot man bottom who was on my table. And I was like, oh. So that was fun. I told him that he has to come to our next munch or he's a dead ducky.
Okay.
It's been ordered.
All right.
Okay. So that was standout highlight number 1. Highlight number 2. I mean, I had 3. I think I already mentioned Ash, but okay. I'm just going to go straight to the last one because this one I had so much fun with. So it was this girl, Lacey, who originally had like a really early spot, but then had to change it because it conflicted with something else.
And watching Dara have to stay up that late, it's always a hoot and a half.
Yeah, I was like dying by that point. I actually forgot that she was coming. I thought I was done at this one. Oh, that was the other highlight. I remember now. Before I get into Lacey, it was the one right before her. It was Hot Asian Guy's new partner. Damn that girl's ass. Damn that girl's ass. So Daddy J was saying to me in the car ride, he goes, I was watching you and I am surprised, very surprised that you didn't bite her ass. I was like, I was tempted, but we just met and I was trying to be respectful. I mean, being respectful of Hot Asian Guys, but of his new partner, I felt I had to. So she was super fun. She was super wiggly. I got to keep torturing her feet, which was really, really fun. Overall, lovely person. I asked him if we could keep her.
I'm sure we can.
Well, yeah. He said, yeah, but I can only borrow. And I was like, well, But then the last person, Lacey, she was super fun because she specifically, out of every single other person that I had last night, wanted something sadistic. And my sadist was like full blown trying to get out of the cage last night. Like everybody could tell. The girl right before Lacey, the Hot Asian Guy's new partner, was just like, okay, I can tell you're a little bit of a sadist because I could see you trying not to. I was like, yeah, because you asked me to go soft and like work my way up. So I was trying really hard not to. So last night I was feeling it. And Lacey says, go. I was like, okay, we gonna go. So I went. And one of the things that I love the most about electro is you can incorporate so many different styles with it. So you can beat somebody with electro. You can do scratchy stuff. I kept holding up implements to her and making her choose which one was going to be the worst. And we ended up with like a lot of sharps. So I actually got to use my Wartenbergs for the first time in a very, very long time. Normally people don't like those because they're unbelievably sharp. And when you add the electricity to it, it is a kind of pain that is beyond most people's tolerances. So I did that to her and she was having a great time. And then I pulled out the carbon fiber knife was the last thing that I used. And I used the sharp side. For a lot of people last night, I was using the back end of it. This time I actually used the sharp side and I was doing basically knife play on her with the electricity. And at one point I told her she was very wiggly. You saw. Because you were standing there. She was very wiggly.
Daddy J and I kept getting distracted because the host of the event was dancing. And we just kind of watched. And as I was talking to Naughty Nice this morning, telling the story, and she said, so was the dancing like Elaine from Seinfeld? And I went, oh my God, yeah, that's pretty much
what it
was like. And I turned to Daddy J and I said, Cosmos dancing. And we're just, I wish you guys could see my face right now because this is what we look
It's very confused.
And it was like, and then Daddy J goes, yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen him on the dance floor. And I went, and hopefully the last. So it was hard to pay attention to what you were doing over there because we were just very fascinated.
You didn't see the big old arch that I made her do?
No, sorry.
Oh my God, she was like on her head and her tiptoes.
I wish you could have seen Cosmo dancing and then you'd understand why.
Well, shit. Well, anyway, at one point I did the whole you better sit still or you better not move thing because I took the very, very point of my knife and I put it in her belly button and so that she wouldn't move because if she moved, she would have stabbed herself in the belly button.
Oh, goodness.
It was so much fun. And then the last thing I did to her, I've never done this before. I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I was inspired. I slit her throat.
Okay.
Like, not for real. There was no blood. But
I assumed it was you. So you'd be more concerned if I said I slit someone's throat because there could actually possibly be blood.
Yeah, but I've never even attempted. Like, I took the sharp end of the knife and I dragged it across her throat, which is, I never do that. That is fucking insane for me. So yeah, she like laid there after I was done. She needed a moment to recoup. And I was like, so are you dead? I mean, I know I slit your throat, but are you dead? And she goes, that was amazing. Oh my God. That last thing that you did, that was so great. And I'm like, you need a minute? She goes, yeah. So she just like laid there for a little bit. Also, I have some news. Very important, exciting announcement. Are you ready? We just broke our record.
I was going to say, that was my guess is what that was going to be. We actually have a topic for the episode today.
Yes, we
do. As evidenced by the name of the episode and if you read the description. But we did want to share with you because we both had some really good stories from last night. So let's talk about what the topic is today and let you know that this was not inspired by TikTok.
What?
It was inspired by Instagram.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't give you too much of a heart attack.
Because there's been several recently that were not inspired by social media. And I was like, you just saying but you were specific. It's not inspired by TikTok. Yeah. Okay.
But
now I get it.
Actually, it's something that's been in my head for quite a while because it's one of those phrases that just gets my goat. Sorry, you have a mouthful of drink while I did this too. Do not spew on the computer.
Oh, or any of the equipment. Yeah, no, thanks for that.
Sorry.
I'm trying to get my coffee.
I'm looking at my notes, so I wasn't looking at what you were doing.
You weren't looking at my face?
No, I was looking at my computer. Sorry.
All right, here, wait. I have an idea.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you.
This is the coffee.
Okay. It's a phrase that I find often in my romance novels.
I know. Okay, I know the exact thing that you were referencing for this.
Okay.
Got it.
And it's a phrase that the phrase is true submissive or something along those lines. You read in romance novels, we'll read it a lot because we'll talk about the heroine is a true submissive. I've never seen it really referred to when the submissive is male. But when it's female, she's a true submissive.
All males are true submissives.
Yeah. There was an Instagram post where somebody had asked a question because they felt they were a true submissive. And I really hate that term because first of all, what the hell is true submissive? Like, who determines it? What does it mean?
I feel like just the word true is so subjective at this point.
Well, it to me, it very smacks of that whole one-two way.
Yes.
So I thought we'd actually discuss and go through all the reasons that the phrase true submissive can be problematic and why it needs to go the fuck away.
Okay.
According to the world of Aurora. That I'm going to now try to convince you all that I am right once again.
Well, I stopped bothering arguing with you on that a while ago, so I mostly just think it.
I'm going to explain all of this to you and hope that you join me on the pink side. Because we don't really have a dark side. It's a pink side.
Look, I've already been dragged onto it, yeah. And you've basically tied me at this point to it. So save me.
And so I don't really know how to tie. So it's in knots and I can't undo it.
I'm stuck.
Yeah.
It's poor me.
But I have a list.
Of course you have a list.
Of course I have a list. It's me.
Of course.
Have you met me?
No, never.
It's in bullet points.
I'm surprised. That's not bullet points, bitch.
Well,
That
they're
is
numbered. They're
numbers.
technically numbered. I know. All right, we ready?
Yes.
Okay,
Go.
let's start with the basic number one reason, because it imposes a rigid definition. It suggests that there's an actual singular right way to be submissive, which invalidates and marginalizes anybody who doesn't conform to that very narrow, one true way of doing it.
That's such bullshit. Like, it always is. It has always been bullshit, because you as a submissive is vastly different from me as a submissive. Vastly. And I don't think Daddy J could handle your shit.
Most people can't.
Daddy J can't handle my shit.
Which is why I had to get a partner who is the size he is, because that's the size you need to be to handle my shit.
Yes.
I have a lot of shit.
You're ridiculous.
I have a lot of shit.
You have a lot of shit.
I'm old. I've been around for a while. I have gathered up a lot of shit. I have no fucks. I'm all out of fucks, but I got plenty of shit.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. Dungeon hangover. I'm tired. But yeah, it very much, and it absolutely excludes people, because if I don't, and I've heard submissives say, quote unquote, say things like, well, I didn't do such and such a thing, so I've been told I'm not a true submissive. And that drives me nuts. When people ask, like, what does a submissive look like? I can't give you an answer, because what every dominant wants is different. So every dominant will have a different definition. If you're a slave versus a submissive, it's going to look different. If you're a service submissive versus a sexual submissive, it's going to look different. So who gets to decide what true is and what falls under that category?
Apparently, rah-rah.
No, I don't. But listen, there's things that I want from a submissive. If you and I were both shopping for a submissive right now, we would be looking for different things, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You want a submissive who is into sissification.
Yes. And pegging.
And pegging, and who likes and is turned on by humiliation.
And electro.
Okay? I don't want any of that.
Right.
I want a submissive who's going to make me my coffee, take care of my car, carry my toys all over the place, and then let me beat the hell out of them and preferably bleed.
I will add that making me coffee and doing my laundry, I'm going to add that to my list. We should, you know what we need to do? We need to make little tiny lists and post them of like ads for our submissives. Would that be cute? Like a social media post for like advertisement for submissive for Rara, advertisement for submissive for Dara.
Okay, I just had a really clever idea, and now I have thoughts.
Is it based off of my idea?
It is.
Oh, good. Well, then I'm an inspiration.
As I want to make like fake singles ad, like when you open up like a Tinder or OkCupid and they have the ad. I want to do something like that for each one of us, but looking for submissive.
Do it. That'd be hysterical.
I know. Oh, mine is going to say must be willing to bleed.
Mine is must be willing to give me your ass.
Right.
Also must be willing to understand that even when I am little, I am still in charge and I will bite you.
Yeah. They have to give you their skin. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, you didn't. You haven't. You didn't tell them about Dar's new. I think we hold on. Do we have like a sound effect for like breaking news?
We usually do. I'll put it in there somewhere. There we go.
We have breaking news, folks. Dara has a new identity.
A new sexual identity.
A new sexual identity. Which during the month of Pride, I think is important for her to share.
Is this even coming out in June?
I don't know, but understand it was recorded in June.
It was found out in June. It was recorded in June. Hopefully it will come out in June. I have no idea what we're doing. But this is all thanks to Ginger Piggy from our Discord. We were on a munch on Friday. It was our virtual munch. I don't remember. Somebody mentioned omnisexual, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I said something about, well, you know, what's the difference between omnisexual and pansexual? So we got into that. And then Iro tells us all that Piggy has just come up with Dara's sexual identity, which is apparently omnisexual, meaning I will bite literally anyone.
So welcome to the world of num sexual.
No, it's omnisexual.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the
You forgot the
I went straight to the
because
num.
omni, so you go
Gotcha.
nom.
Gotcha.
Yes,
All right.
which I do a lot. I didn't bite anybody last night.
Good for you.
I was really, it was
Hello.
hard.
My
to
name is
resist.
Dara, and it's been 2 days since I've bitten somebody.
Well, okay, no, that's not true.
Okay.
I bit Daddy J this morning.
Okay, never mind.
So
It has been
it
zero
has been 0 days since I
I've
last
been-
bit anybody. Oh my God, you should post that too. That's a graphic. It's going to be every day. Dara, it has been 0 days since I last bit somebody.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Reason number 2.
It's a half an hour in and we're on reason number 2.
Luckily, I did not come up with 25 reasons. I only have 15.
Cool.
Reason number 2, elitism and gatekeeping. So the term true submissive actually fosters elitism and gatekeeping because it causes some individuals to claim that their way of being submissive is just superior or more authentic than others. And that really undermines the whole point of kink is customizable, diversity, the personal nature of power dynamics. There's just so many different ways. And when you start saying true submissive, you're basically saying, well, a true submissive, that's the right way to do it. Which therefore, if that's the right way to do it, that implies everything else is the wrong way to do it.
I just can't get over how fucking stupid it is, though. Like, seriously, just based on sheer differences in personality. You can't have one way.
No. Well, I think a lot of this comes from, and I have found it because obviously my interactions in different Discord servers and on social media, I have a lot more access to people who don't typically go out into the community. They may attend an occasional munch, but for the most part, their DS is happening at home with their partner.
Right.
In this bubble. And because of being in this bubble, they're not exposed to the fact that if there's a million people, there's a million ways to do it differently.
Well, it's kind of like no one person is going to have the same fit for like a vanilla partner either. Like what you look for in just dating is wildly different from what I look for.
You've just inspired another episode.
Oh, shit.
Another one of my pet peeves. I have so many.
You have a lot of pet peeves.
I do. I'm a cranky old lady.
Well, at least I'm the inspiration for that one instead of social media, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I'm good for something.
But yeah,
I'm losing my voice, but that's okay.
One of the things that I also come across is this idea that somehow if you do BDSM, you're better.
Nope.
There's like a hierarchy between BDSM and vanilla.
Okay, well, we'll get into that.
But that's what do you think? That's another episode.
No, I like that. That's a good one.
Yes, we're going to tell all of you kinksters you're no better than anybody else just because you're kinky and not vanilla. But yeah.
You have more fun, maybe.
Depends. Again, who gets to determine? I know I enjoy it more, but all right. So number 3, it's problematic because it neglects individual preferences. I mean, like sexuality and relationships, submission is deeply personal and it varies from person to person, from dynamic to dynamic. What one person considers true is going to be completely different from another's experience. And by saying true submission, you're ignoring the importance of those personal preferences, consent, and mutual agreement. Because as Dara and I just pointed out, without even having to think hard about it, what would work for us for submission is different. What I want and looking for, what she wants and she's looking for is different. So is one of ours true submission and the other one isn't? That's silliness.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
Right. Number 4, pressure to conform. It actually puts undue pressure on individuals to fit into the specific mold of what quote unquote true submission is supposed to look like. And that can potentially lead to discomfort or even harm if they somehow feel compelled to do something and act against their genuine desires, against their set boundaries. Because if they don't, then they worry they won't be seen as a true submissive.
Well, that's like, so for example, telling me that I need to be able to take pain and be able to take like floggers and stuff in order to be a true submissive, I'm going to be like, haha, fuck you, not a submissive then. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't identify as a submissive anyway, but when I submit, I don't do any of that. And if you try to get me to do that, I'm more likely to punch you.
She would.
I actually, yeah.
Well, listen, let's talk about male submissives, because I think this happens a lot. This idea that male submissives should want to be pegged.
So exactly, that's my preference. I like the sissies. I like the pegging. I like all of that. I like being able to order a man around and literally treat him as a pet. Didn't I say just a little while ago that I've got 2 that I want to take home now and make them my pet?
And I have zero interest in pegging anybody. So having a male submissive who doesn't want to be pegged, that's fine with me.
Well, you don't want them for that.
I don't. And to sit there, if you were to say, well, if you found like the perfect submissive, except for the fact that he doesn't want to be pegged for whatever reason, he doesn't want to be pegged. And now you're saying, well, but a true submissive, a true male submissive would want to be pegged. Now he's going to feel pressure to do what you want. He's going to go against his boundaries, which is no pegging. And I don't see how that's healthy by any means. And it goes against everything that we stand for in this lifestyle in, consent.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, and seriously, and if I have somebody who really wants to be my sub but is not into pegging, and they try to tell me that they want to do it, I'm going to be actually turned off by that. Because part of pegging is the humiliation part. If they're not into that, if they're not into, like, I'm going to be perfectly frank here, the pain of it first, I'm not going to like it. I am not going to enjoy that, and I'm not going to enjoy being with that person. So if they don't like it and they're telling me that they want to do it anyway because they want to be, they're so desperate to be a submissive, I'm going to be so turned off that you're not going to be submitting of in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And unfortunately, I have seen toxic dominance utilize this term to pressure submissives into doing things they don't want to do. Well, if you were a true submissive, you would do this. I mean, how many times have you heard people say that?
I hate that.
Right? Or I've heard submissives go, well, I don't really want to, but my dom says that if I'm a true submissive, I would do that. Well, fuck the dom.
Yeah, no, that's not like, a dom. No. That's not a true dom.
There we go.
If I'm not a true submissive, you're not a true dom.
Well, continuing with that, one of the reasons true submissive is problematic is it reinforces stereotypes about what submissive behavior looks like, usually based on like popular media portrayals that are not necessarily accurate or healthy representations of what a consensual BDSM dynamic would look like. And again, you're setting up, similar to like we talk about models' pictures in magazines being airbrushed, and now you've set up this idea of what the quote-unquote ideal woman would look like, and it's fake. That's what the term true submissive is. It just in words, it sets up this ideal of what they should look like, and it's fake. It's just all fake because everybody wants different things. It's very interesting. This conversation actually comes up a lot with my friends over at Loving BDSM, Kayla and JB, because JB's very laid back and quieter than Kayla.
Yes.
And as a result, she's the one who's always talking, and she admits this freely. She interrupts him a lot. Now, this is also when they're doing their podcast, which was her baby to start with, that he joined in. So that may be part of it. But she gets accused a lot of, well, you're not really submissive because of those things you do. Yeah, she really is. I've actually met them in person. I've watched them interact in person. They most assuredly have a very healthy DS dynamic. She most assuredly is a submissive. And yeah, it might not look to you what you think a submissive looks like, but that doesn't mean she's not. And that's the problem with the true submissive. You get it in your head, this is what a submissive looks like, so that must be the true submissive. And therefore, when you don't do that, you're not a submissive. And that's bullshit. I've seen people, for instance, a submissive who is in charge of the bank accounts in a dynamic.
Well, if they're better with the finances.
Well, people will go, oh, well, why are you in charge of the money? That's ridiculous. And it's like, well, if you talk to them, they're really good with money. Maybe their day job is an accountant.
Hell yeah, I'd put that person in charge of the finances. That would be literally their service.
Right? So it's, you can't, fuck the goddamn stereotypes. God knows I don't meet the stereotype of a dominant, but hang out with me long enough, you'll know. So, yeah. All right, ready for a couple more reasons?
Let's go.
All right. It ignores context. So it doesn't account for the context of each individual relationship where your dynamics and your roles are going to vary greatly depending upon the people involved. As we've been talking about throughout, you've got, people who would be good with money. So whether they're the submissive or not, they're going to be in charge of the money. I've seen it where, the dominant shouldn't be the one cooking the dinner because that's the submissive's role, except the submissive sucks at cooking.
And the dominant doesn't want to starve.
Yeah. Or they're just really good at it. And for them, that's their self-care. They enjoy it and find it relaxing.
So, here's the thing with the cooking. Daddy J does cook on occasion. I do the most of it. One, because frankly, I'm just better at it. And two, it's something I genuinely enjoy. And three, it's feeding somebody basically is my love language. I love cooking for people and feeding them. It's the Italian in me and probably also the Cuban. But I love doing that for people. So doing it for Daddy J all the time on the regular. I love finding new recipes to show him and kind of show off. And it's great. This is my thing. But on days that I can't, he does. He's got a few things that he cooks really, really well. And that is him taking care of me. I wouldn't call it a service, but that's how he takes care of me as the daddy. So I don't understand why it has to be only one person.
Yeah.
And if you have a dominant that is a really, really good cook,
let them.
Hell yeah.
For crying out loud.
Go do things.
Well, building upon that, another problem is it perpetuates misunderstanding, right? When people from the outside are looking in and they hear this whole idea of true submissive and they have this picture in their head of, the submissive always on their knees at the dom's feet. How about the fact that it's always a female submissive?
Oh, yeah. No, we've had plenty of episodes where we rag on that
right?
one.
Which puts poor male submissives really struggling, trying to accept the fact that they're submissive.
So I'm not going to mention any names because this is a little sensitive, but I feel like this is a good time to bring it up. There was a conversation a little while ago where somebody misunderstood the context of something, and there was a huge misunderstanding about it, and it wasn't great how that started out. But with a lot of the conversation around it, two people talked, we had communication, and it turns out that the context was vastly misunderstood. It turned out it was fine, but the thing is, you need to be able to look at the nuances of things. You need to be able to look at something and not base what you see on your own personal, biases, your own personal understanding of what's happening, because you're not seeing what's underneath. You're not seeing all the stuff that came before that. So yeah, context is super fucking important in a lot of kink.
Well, it does. I mean, it's with the misunderstandings around this, right? There seems to be this idea that part of being a true submissive is you're service submissive and you want to serve. And then from that, everybody has an idea of what a service submissive is. Oh yeah, well that's the person who does the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry. And if
that's a 1950s housewife kink,
right? Well, and if you haven't listened to our episodes on service submission, you need to go back and do that. I don't know it off the top of my head, so sorry. You'll learn that to serve doesn't necessarily mean cooking, cleaning, and doing laundry. You serve in whatever manner your dominant needs you to serve. That's the nuance, but that's not what people think of
when they think service.
When they think service, and I think that is all part of that whole. That's what a true submissive is. And it's all part of that misunderstanding.
Well, didn't you look at something and not understand the context, but you were smart enough not to like touch it? Because it was the one where this sub was getting beat to hell and like bawling.
Oh, yes.
That I don't remember the whole story.
Yeah, they were begging, they were crying. I mean, it seemed, if you didn't know any better, it would seem that this was an excessive impact scene. More than the bottom could handle, going too far and all of that. But it wasn't up to me to decide that. There were people who knew the couple who were totally okay with it. I couldn't imagine every single one of them would have been okay with somebody beating somebody up in a bad way. It just, you need to look into it. But I'm also, again, age, I think, definitely has to, you learn, the older you get, you learn that life is so not black and white.
No, there's, dare we say it?
Go ahead, say it. Come on, go ahead. You know you want to.
Various shades of gray.
How many shades?
At least 102.
Yeah, sure. But it's, and then what happens is then people, especially outside of kink, look at it and they buy into all of this. I mean, those goddamn cockta memes all the time.
I know.
With the black and white memes with the guy in the suit and the woman in the sexy lingerie kneeling at his feet.
With her head tilted up, his hand under her chin, and she's looking dolefully into his eyes. And
if she's allowed to look into his eyes.
If
she's allowed to look into his eyes.
Sometimes she has downcast eyes.
Yes. And it's like, that's what is on social media. That is what vanillas come across, and that's what they think. And for those of us actually in the lifestyle who are out there in the dungeon, we're seeing so much more than that. I could count on one hand the number of guys that I have seen in an actual suit at the dungeon.
0.
I've seen one.
Well, Daddy J has worn a suit once, but that was for like...
At the dungeon?
Nah, he wore it here.
Yeah, probably. It was a prom?
Yeah.
That's why, because it was a theme.
Yeah.
But if you walked, I mean, she should have been there last night, guys. There was not a suit in the house.
Nope. There was barely any clothes.
Barely.
You know what one of my favorite ones was? It was a femme presenting and I guess a mask presenting couple where the mask was in a very, very restricting gag. And there was something, I guess they were mask presenting. I didn't get a whole lot of good looks, but the sign on the gag dangling off of it said, "Do not touch."
I saw something similar, but the opposite. They had written on their chest, "Grope me," with an arrow pointing to their crotch. But then it also said, in parentheses, "Ask first."
Oh, okay. That was good.
I appreciated that because that is risky.
Yes.
To do that. You put it out there, "Grope me," people just might do it.
Yes.
Going, but there's my permission,
nice.
right? So,
that's clever. I want to get a T-shirt that says "No touchy."
I saw a T-shirt that says "I belong to mistress," and I thought, you need that shirt.
I do need that shirt. I'm going to give it to whoever becomes my new pet.
Yeah. See, I don't like being called mistress.
I do. I had somebody call me Domino once.
And if you call me ma'am, I'm going to hurt you, not in the good way, because like that's old people name, and I know I'm technically old enough to be ma'am, but I don't want to be called it.
I got called ma'am for the first time when I was 24 by a 17-year-old working at Best Buy. And I just looked at him and I was like, okay, shut the fuck up. This poor kid.
All right, get back on track here.
Yes.
It discourages exploration because it might stop people from exploring those submissive desires in a way that are authentic to them because they're afraid of being judged or rejected, because the way they want to do it is not the way of a true submissive.
I hate when you say that. Like every time you say true submissive, I just go, "Eh."
Well, do you hear the snark
in
my voice?
I hear it, but at the same time, I keep going, "Eh."
But yeah, because if you're so worried that you're going to be judged that what you want is not submissive-y enough, I'm going to make up words. I haven't made up any words this episode yet, so it's time. If it's not submissive-y enough, that you're not going to want to do it.
Close enough.
Did I get you? It can also be very dismissive because it dismisses the experiences of those who are actually practicing submission in non-traditional ways, and it makes them feel invalidated, and it makes them feel like they're doing it wrong. I've actually had people say to me, am I doing this wrong? Because this is how I submit. And the answer is your dom happy? Yes, then it's not wrong. End of story. Like, the only person's approval you need is your dominant. And here's something to build upon that. If the way you want to submit is not the way your dominant wants to receive it, it's not that either one of you are wrong. It's that you guys aren't compatible. And there's nothing wrong with not being compatible.
It's not, I mean, it sucks when you realize you're not compatible if you really like the person, but that's just what it has to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, a submissive who, like, I had somebody at one point when I had a little more time on my hands and I was shopping around for a potential submissive, I was vetting one guy in particular, and a lot of things worked out. But one of the things that, for me, and I'm not saying he was wrong, he wanted to be forced to participate in some gay sexual activities. He wanted to be told he had to. He wanted to be forced to suck a guy's dick. He wanted to be forced to either suck the cum out of their dick directly or have them fuck me and then suck the cum out of my pussy.
See, now, I'd have a great time with that.
Right? And for me, I don't want that. That's not the kind of submissive I want. If I have to force you to do those acts, then in my head, you don't really want to do them. And then I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want.
That was actually what my first sub wanted, to be forced into gay acts.
Right.
So, yeah. Actually, what I did was that was the one that I got him a trans girl for. So,
perfect.
Girl, but with a dick.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
I like that. The phrase also undermines consent, because by implying that there's a correct way to be submissive, that you have to do that if you actually want to do the submission the correct way, you are taking away the entire principle of informed consent, enthusiastic consent, sincere consent, because I'm not doing something because I want to. I'm doing something because I feel I have to in order to be labeled submissive.
Yeah, and that's coercion and kind of rapey.
And once you're coerced, it ceases to be consent. It also limits personal growth, because what happens if I want to try out different things or I want to evolve? I can't grow and evolve into the stuff in column B because column B stuff is not true submissive stuff.
Can you imagine if you were convinced that you weren't going to be able to evolve from a submissive? You would never have become a submissive leaning switch, and from there gone to switch, and from there gone to straight up dominant with a couple of bottoming tendencies.
Yeah. So it sets up a rigid label. And I think you all know how darn I feel about that.
Intense dislike.
Right. Here's a big one. It creates unnecessary hierarchies, because people who use this term place true submissive at the top of the food chain, and then everybody else is underneath them. And that's crap. Because again, who gets to determine what true is? And therefore you're the best. What I would think is the perfect submissive is absolutely fuckingly not what Dara thinks is the perfect submissive.
Nope.
And vice versa.
Not even remotely.
Right? Can you imagine? I think the perfect submissive wants me to beat the fucking crap out of them. Dara'd be like, ew.
I'd be like, I won't have a submissive, thanks.
God damn it, I'm doing my own laundry again. Fuck this shit.
Damn it.
It also can influence power dynamics, and not in a positive way. As I talked before about, toxic doms who use this term to entice and coerce submissives to doing things that they don't really want to do or are very uncomfortable with, because, well, that's what a true submissive does. I mean, have you heard some of this shit? Like, a true submissive doesn't have safe words. A true submissive doesn't tell their dom no.
See, that shit is so violating, and so, it's just straight up rapey, because once again, that's coercion. Ugh. Fuck that shit.
Fuck that goddamn shit.
That's our mantra for this episode. Fuck that shit.
Fuck that shit. Well, instead of focus, will be fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Oh my God.
You okay?
Well, we did a lot more fuck us last night.
Yes. It fails to acknowledge any fluidity, because over time, you're going to change. Who you are as a submissive today is most assuredly not who you're going to be as a submissive tomorrow or the day after. And the same thing even with dominance. And as your dynamic grows together and you understand each other better and become more comfortable with each other more, it's going to change. And if you have this arbitrary idea of what true submissive is, it doesn't allow you to then really change and adapt. And then finally, the biggest reason for me is it encourages people to judge you. Oh, you're
the
not
only
a
one
true
allowed
submissive.
to judge Rara is me.
And I don't pay attention to her when she does. But yeah, it encourages, again, back to with the hierarchy. Oh, well, I'm a true submissive, so I'm better than you. Oh, you don't do that? Yeah, you're not really a true submissive. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me so much better than you.
Right. And it opens people up to critiquing each other. You don't get to critique each other. It just, no. Let's go back to this whole kink is customizable thing. You get to do you as long as there's fucking consent, as long as everybody involved is A, an adult, and 2, has given informed consent. Do it.
The way I always would think about sex and like my view on it essentially is between consenting adults. That's it. That's the requirement.
So do you think I've made my point? Do you think I have convinced?
I think you've made about 15 points.
Do you think I've convinced people why they should stop using the goddamn fucking term?
Hopefully you have, but then again, I'm not entirely sure that all of our listeners even think this way in the first place.
No. Well, if they did, they certainly didn't by 172-3 episodes into this.
I don't know what the fuck episode we're on right now.
I think this is 173.
Is that what we figured out?
If we haven't by now convinced them.
What if they're just starting out and this is their first episode?
Oh, well, welcome. I hope we haven't scared you away.
I might have.
You might. Well, you're scary.
Well, yeah. I'm the scary one.
Yeah.
Little miss. I want my submissive to bleed.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, I just look scarier. I'm like, never mind. That's other episodes. You can go back and listen to those.
For further information, go back.
So I think we're good. I think we completed our tasks for today, and I'm going to go home now.
My job here is done.
Yep, bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of our fun and educational content. New episodes drop every Friday.
If you love what we do and want to show support, there are several ways. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/pinkkinkpodcast. You can support our affiliates or help spread the word about our kinky podcast to your friends.
Don't forget to rate and review Pink Kink on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Those 5-star reviews go a long way in boosting our podcast through the algorithm and reaching more listeners.
Sign up for our Pink Kink Institute classes. Shop at our Etsy shop, Pink Kink Boutique. Stay connected with us on social media. You'll find all the links on our link tree posted in the show notes.
Your support means the world to us. So until next time, stay pretty, stay safe,
and stay twisted.